All right, so we're live. What episode are we on?
17.
Episode 17 of Peeker's Advantage with SirScoots.
Hey.
Scoots, welcome to the show.
Hey, man.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me.
Thanks for coming on. Of course, we'd love to have you. We talked about this back on No Majors Club that we were going to get you on at some point once you got your Do Not Peek stuff launched. So
Exactly.
tell us about that. What is Do Not Peek? What's your goal with it?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on the show, by the way. I'm a little butthurt that, like, Dust was on before me, you know?
Well,
I mean, of all things,
Aren't we all?
We had,
right.
we had a lot of fish to get rid of, you know, like we just had
All right,
fish lying
fair
around,
enough.
and
That works. Fair enough.
we had to pass it on to somebody, and he
Little
would
full
only agree
circle.
to pay full price if we let him on the show.
Yeah, shit. And now he's kicking ass, right? He was on your show, and now he's
killing it.
booking
I
all
love
these
him.
gigs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, so
good for him, man.
you guys,
Good for him.
yeah.
Dust, happy for you, bud.
Yeah, obviously. I'm getting shit. So, Do Not Peek. So, Jason Baker, Alchemist, and I started a production company, esports production gaming company in Scottsdale, Arizona called Do Not Peek Entertainment. We're longtime friends. We go all the way back to the Got Frag days, Got Frag TV days, broadcasting, figuring out how to stream Counter-Strike, all that shit. And an opportunity presented itself. There's a production facility, a TV, commercial, movie studio right down the street from my house that was built about 3 years ago by a billionaire here in Scottsdale, the guy that used to own GoDaddy, Bob Parsons. Built it to make a bunch of his own commercial content. He owns a bunch of businesses, motorcycle company, golf courses, all sorts of stuff. So to film his own stuff, and then other people in Arizona to use it. And so out of, basically we found out it was there. They reached out to me, and they were trying. Every production company in the world, in the mainstream world, corporate or sports or TV, is like trying to figure out what this gaming and esports thing is, right? We all know the ESLs and like all our production companies, but the whole outside world of production is like, what's this gaming thing? What's this? How many people are watching League of Legends? What the hell? And there's tons of those companies and facilities in California, all over the world, right? So, Turner's a prime example. Turner Sports decided to build E-League because they realized that this gaming and esports thing was something. So they turned their TV product into an esporty gaming product. Anyway, so these guys at the studio is called Sneaky Big. You can Google it. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. They reached out to me because they found out I was in town. I'm an old production guy, no esports, and they just reached out to BizDev me to say, hey, what is this gaming thing? What is this esport thing? So I went down there, took a tour of it, and literally had no idea it was right down the street. For one, it's literally like 15 minutes away from my house. Beautiful part of North Scottsdale. Most production facilities, studios are kind of in warehousey parts of towns because that's where the big cheap buildings are. And you need big, cheap studio space, big warehouse stuff to do big stuff. But this billionaire just built it right in the middle of North Scottsdale because that's where a bunch of his other businesses are. Like, so it's not kind of in a shitty area at all. It's actually in a really nice area. So I go down there and I'm blown away. I didn't do my research when I walked in. I Googled it. I went, oh, Sneaky Big. Those are some cool pictures. Look at that. There's a car in their fucking soundstage. What the fuck? But I didn't put together who owned it, who built it, or why. So I just knew there was a production facility. I'm like, oh, it looks brand new. So I go in there, and again, nice guy that's doing the biz dev for them, comes from NFL and sports and stuff. But he knows that he should be talking to some people about this gaming and esports thing, And he mentions, like, how do you get ESL in the building? And what about Riot? What are they doing? Again, doesn't really know anything about our world, but knows that lots of production is happening in gaming and esports. Right? Ninja, right? So
Classic.
Out of that, I have what was that?
Classic.
Yeah, like he all the buzzwords.
Ninja.
Like, yeah, and these guys kind of come from traditional sports broadcasting, so they kind of understand a little bit of what esports is in that sense. Because again, we just took our games and made them look like sports, right? With scoreboards and instant replay, and it's very sport-like, obviously, right to us. So, really good conversation. Guy's name's Ben, and kind of left it like, maybe I'll consult with these guys, make sure they don't, drink the wrong Kool-Aid, screw something up. But they're trying to figure out, how do you get ESL's business? How do you get a game developer's business? Like, they really don't know, right? Let alone do you make shows? Like, how do you do stuff? So out of that, I call Jason, my buddy, who's freelancing. He's doing Blast events as producer, director, doing all sorts of freelance stuff. And I'm like, dude, right down the street from. And again, long story, not so short. Goffrey TV started right where I'm sitting with Jason and a bunch of people. Jesuit and Shrew and a bunch of guys moved here like 10 years ago to open Goffrey TV studios in my house. So, and Jason and I ran that together. So we've been talking about this since then because we got closed by MLG and, the bubble bust in CGS. And so there was no Counter-Strike in North America. Very fucked up time. But it was always like, God, if we could ever do it again, right? And this was obviously long before Twitch, long before anyone had free streaming platforms or anything easy to make a show, right? So we've always talked about it, like, God, wouldn't it be cool? Wouldn't it be cool? So I call him. I'm like, dude, this place right down the street, fuck, blow. And again, nicest place I've been to, and I've been in Turner Studios. I've been in, big places. It's very well done, like those, right? The guy built it to get that kind of business. So out of that conversation, we decide to form a production company, basically, because these guys will let us embed our production company inside their production facility and basically kind of take the gaming and esports vertical, if you will, off their plate and put a business inside their business to kind of operate that. They don't own a part of the business. We're basically we're their client, and we're their tenant because it's a kind of a landlord relationship as well. We have space in the building, but
So are you leasing out the building then, or is it just sort of like a partnership agreement where like you can just use it kind of thing?
Both. Like, this is all professional grade shit, so they're not going to let me stand behind their 4K pedestal TV cameras. Like, this is real deal shit. So we get basically a super cheap rate to use the facility, whether it's with all their staff or part of their staff. Like, if you're a production company, you can rent their facility, walk in with your own camera operators, your own gear. They'll turn the green screen lights on, and you could just film something and walk away. Or they can do everything for you. They're a soup to nuts kind of turnkey production company, or they can just rent you sound stages, turn on the microphones. It's kind of very a la carte there. So
what type of stuff have they done so far?
Tons of commercial stuff. So again, so Bob Parsons, the guy that built this place, is the ex-owner of GoDaddy, right? Huge Arizona billionaire. Him and his wife are on the Gates giving list, when that is a super billionaire giving list that you pledge to give half your money to charity in your lifetime, right? Bill Gates and his wife came up with the list. These guys are on it. Owns like 13 different businesses in town. Owns the largest Harley Davidson dealership in North America. Owns a golf course here in town. Owns a golf club company that makes clubs. PXG sponsors pro golfers. And basically, he used to take all his commercial business, like he has commercials on local TV and shit for his clubs and for everything, motorcycle commercials, all kinds of stuff. He used to take all that business to California and rent production facilities there, right? And he basically, again, he's a billionaire, so he got tired of that. And he's like, you know what Arizona needs is what we keep renting in California. So they built one. But they built one of the quality that could also actually make Hollywood movies in a way, because one of the sound stages is 4,500 square feet. The way the floor is done, the air conditioning, the lighting, it's not an esports studio. It's not even a TV studio. It is like a movie studio in some regards, but also a full control room that you would see in like a live production environment for live sports. Big panel of monitors, people sitting at benches, pushing buttons, like a live production facility. So you kind of built a super stupid facility. Like, overkill isn't even the right word, right? In that sense. And then what kind of happened is Arizona doesn't give tax credits yet to movie makers, and a lot of other states do. So they don't get a lot of movie making business. That didn't really materialize for them. He films all their stuff there. The Coyotes just filmed their 3-day media day at the facility, so they're doing all Fox Sports stuff. They're starting to do biz dev, like big sports stuff. So in our country, there was the AAF briefly last year, the Alliance of American Football. It was a football league that was started up to go when the NFL wasn't going. It lasted like 7-8 weeks, but NFL quality, broadcast, all those things. They produced the pregame, postgame, halftime show from this facility, as well as they did a game every week. They have what the broadcast term is called REMI production. So it's remote engineered and broadcasting production. So what's happening now in the sports production world, and we're starting to see it in esports, is I'll take an NFL football game, for example, and I'll make up numbers. But let's say, Monday Night Football, CBS Sports has to take 10 TV trucks and put them in the arena parking lot to broadcast the game. You basically build a broadcast center every time you do a sporting event, right, in the parking lot. So you roll the trucks in, you plug them all into the cameras, you bring all the cameras into the building, you do the sport, you unplug it all, the trucks go somewhere else, right? So what sports has started to do is, instead of sending 10 trucks to the event, they send 3 trucks. And those other 7 trucks are actually things that are part of a permanent install in their home studios, because it's graphics, it's instant replay, it's the big control room, right? Internet is fast enough now that they take all the cameras and the sideline reporter, if you will, and all that stuff from the game, they jack it into the truck, they send the entire set of truck feeds over the internet, back to their nice, cushy home studio, right? So they're not all sitting in cramped trucks doing Monday Night Football. They're sitting in Turner Sports in Atlanta doing Monday Night Football. The guy that sits there sits in that same desk every day. This week it's a football game. Tomorrow it's a basketball game. And it's much cheaper because these guys all live in Atlanta or wherever, right? So you don't need hotels. You don't need to fly them. You don't need a per diem. It's more of a normal job for them, right? It's not an on-the-road job. So sports is starting to do this a lot, right? Because Turner has control rooms. So why do all of it at a remote location and pay for all of it when you could pay for some of it and use that control room you already own in Atlanta or in New York or in LA? So sports is going that way. Esports is going that way. Last year, League of Legends did their majority of their broadcast from their LA studio. They brought all the cameras. The casters were in LA. All of it came from China to LA, and they switched the show remotely, basically, because it's all in sync. So you at home have no idea that it's slightly delayed, right? Because it has to come across. So these guys are kind of built for that in the sports world. So that's what they're kind of biz deving. Do you ask what they're doing? Like they're starting to do basketball games for some of the local universities. They're trying to biz dev an NFL football game because they kind of have the facility for that. So long story short, they basically opened their arms to let us kind of into the building because they'll still make money on us, right? If we do gaming and esports in their building, we're renting their gear, we're renting their sound stages, we're renting their people. They still get a chunk of the revenue without having to learn the space, do all the biz dev, produce the events, take care of ESLs, or like they don't have to babysit anyone. That's kind of when we bring clients, that's what we're doing, right? Just like they do for their side. So that's kind of what Do Not Peak is. It was an opportunity that happened like starting literally in January. So it fired up really quick from meeting these guys to talking to Jason going, we should do this. Will they let us do this? They'll let us do this. Hey, let's go get some money. We got a bunch of VC. The same guys in the announcement that's already out. Our investors are the Pummel Group, which is the Good Game Group, GG Group, which is the same guys that own Rivalry Sportsbook. We're all familiar with Rivalry. They do a lot of content, Richard's content. So they own Sportsbook, and then they also own Chaos Esports Gaming. That's a sister company of ours. They are an esports team, right? Started by Greg Laird, ex-Dota guy, ex-Dota pro, and they're in Atlanta. So, they invested in us, hooking us up, basically, for lack of a better word, and and so the idea is Jason and I, we're hiring people and moving more people in, but we love live production. There's something about doing something live, like it's an adrenaline rush. It's like playing, but not, like that adrenaline.
Okay, you don't have to talk shit about our show, man. Like, fine, we'll start doing it live. Like, whatever.
You should do it live, by the way. It has a whole different pressure. And so we love doing this shit, right? And I did it for a while on the production side, directing, producing, being in the trucks. And then for Counter-Strike, I got lucky enough that these assholes asked me, like, do you want to host? And I was like, that's the easiest job in the business. I'll absolutely host your analyst desks. But I'm not really an on-air guy, or at least I wasn't in that sense, like more of a behind-the-scenes production guy than any sort of on-air talent, right? I just got lucky. Counter-Strike needed some people. I was still around. Everybody else had dicked. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that dream hack, So it was kind of like a perfect opportunity. Jason was tired of freelancing. I wanted to do something again. I've been kind of retired other than helping the Player Association. But I didn't want to go back on the road and just be a day warrior, right? Where you just go work for a day wage, whether it's in a truck or at a desk, right? There's no longevity in that other than the value you get out of yourself for doing that job. But there's no business behind being a play-by-play commentator. The business is just you being that guy, right? So I didn't want to just go do that stuff again. I didn't want to go be a host or be a producer for somebody else, right? Why go work for ESL again? And I didn't want to travel. My mom lives with me. I take care of her. She's old. So I didn't want to travel for a job anymore either. Jason was freelancing, was not liking it anymore. It's a grind. As you guys know, like the idea of like get on airplanes and going to travel and being in hotels gets old like fucking that
immediately.
Like immediately.
The second you show up to the airport at 5 a.m. with a migraine and you're puking in the fucking airport bathroom for 3 hours until your flight, you're like, I'm done with this now. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, this isn't fun.
And as you get older, like, he's 40, 45 now. So like for him, it was like, this is certainly no fun. And so it was just kind of a perfect opportunity that we could do what we loved, do it in a base location. Because everything we're going to do, we're not going to be a traveling production company. We're going to do all our stuff out of this studio or out of arenas or venues in Phoenix, Arizona. That's another thing is like we have lots of arenas. We have lots of theaters. We have lots of stuff. we don't have a lot of esports yet. And so we're hoping that once we have kind of an embedded esports company of this scale in Arizona, Phoenix, Scottsdale area, then maybe we can bring some of these tier 1 events and come rent our venues and use our hotel rooms and stuff.
So yeah, do you guys have like events planned? Because you guys have this great production company that's up and coming, but like what are you going to be working with DreamHack, ESL to put an event together?
We're talking to all of them. I mean, it's there's no event being scheduled. The first thing we're going to do is our own shows. Kind of what DMP is going to be is original programming. So we're going to do our own kind of series of talk shows, news shows, variety shows. Because again, once you're in a facility like that, it's much easier to every Tuesday turn on the show, cameras, do a show. You get into a routine, like a TV station does, right? So definitely our own DMP content. And then we want to, we'll white label for people. If someone comes to us and says, "Hey, will you run this for us?" But we'll pay you, but it's Johnny Bravo doing it. Yeah, we don't give a fuck. Production companies do that all the time. You step kind of back. You charge more for that if your branding isn't involved. So white labeling stuff, co-branding, we are talking to all the TOs because we certainly think that, especially as they're all starting to go towards remote production, that this is a facility that can maybe help the ESLs, help all the big boys if they want. But not looking to be one of them. Like, again, not looking to be an ESL and have a world circuit. But if there's a way that we could help ESL with shoulder content or do something around their events, in their events, from remote, we'd love to do that kind of stuff. Same thing with game developers. Game developers are often now skipping a TO kind of production company like an ESL, and they're doing stuff themselves, hiring production companies themselves. So we're talking to some, actual game devs about how do we help your game? What kind of content can we make? The cool thing about the facility is it's not just like, here's a desk, let's sit in front of it and talk. Like both studios. There's 2 studios in the building: a 4,500 square foot studio and a smaller 550. They're both green screened, and they're green screened with tracking camera 3D technology. So you can make live sets that are very realistic. So when you move your cameras, it warps everything around you. It blurs stuff. It's not just like my green screen, right? Which is just a generic graphic put behind me. It's very realistic, right? You can make it look like you're in a New York ESPN set. I can put you guys inside Dust 2, right? And you can walk around the boxes of Dust 2, that kind of shit. So a lot of that stuff we just got in, so we're learning all this and kind of figuring out what we can use it for. They use it for more traditional stuff, right? They make stuff look photorealistic, etc. So we want to be really additive. That's the biggest thing. We're not looking to really compete with anyone because, there's just no need to. There's lots of use for this kind of facility because no one in esports has built this because they never would have said, you know what we need? A 4,500 green screen room that you can drive a car in. Like, no one would build that in our world.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Do you think that your long-term goal with this is to get acquired by a larger company? Do you think, or do you think you're gonna get bought out?
It is a good question because not necessarily. Like, our goal is to build a production company that we can work a long time at, like until we die. Like, again, this is my home. I've lived here for a very long time. So to be able to drive right down and go work and make magic, if you will, because playing with production gear is kind of fun. So there's no goal. Like, this is not being started up to then be sold and we walk away. I've sold a couple companies in esports. I got lucky to sell them and have paper on, MLG and Goffrag, or I should say Goffrag and EG. Gave me some MLG paper that was worth nothing. But so that's not why Jason and I are doing it. We just want to have our own thing again that we have control over, actually, not even other people. That being said, though, what we have thought about it. And I think what would happen, if anything, Alex, would be that Mr. Parsons, the guy whose building we're in, would buy us. He would realize that the value that this gaming esports sector brings to the studio he owns, and maybe he's even the kind of owner that goes, talk to me about this franchise stuff. Should I build an esports arena? Like, if this billionaire does in fact decide that this is something he should care about instead of golf and motorcycles, well, then we are right there to help consult him. But it's not really, it would be cool. But even if we got bought, we would keep working there, right? Because it's like right down the street. I mean, they would want us to keep working there. So it's not really a goal. It would be it's always a neat bonus if you get acquired and you want to get acquired, I guess. Things can go south. Like, both times I got, when Goffrey got acquired, it was good for a little while, but then it turned to shit and we all got fired, right? So through really no fault of our own. EG got acquired by Twitch. They got acquired after I'd already left, so I had no involvement with management or anything of that transition or going to work for Twitch. But they fucked that deal all up, right? And EG and Alliance got stuck in closets for like 2 years and damaged those two team brands. They're now free and clear and doing their own thing. But so that, although I got money out of it, it kind of fucked the companies I helped build, right? In both those respects. So like Rip got frag, right? So that's always a concern. It's like, God, if I sell this, I might make money, but these might just shit all over my dreams. So it's not something we think about, right? This is not that kind of, and it also production is not necessarily the business you would open in esports to flip and make billions of dollars.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Because making money in content is not necessarily the smartest thing, right? Like, there's lots of other ways to spend VC's money that might be more profitable. I mean, we'll make money, but we're not gonna. Content is not, content is king because everyone always needs to watch shit. Games will come and go, drama comes and goes, but the idea of shows and content being consumed just grows, right? We all know that. So I think doing it is good, but it's not like the get rich quick job.
Right? No. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not saying you're just trying to flip it. I see that you're trying to. I mean, like, it'd be cool as a nice perk to get acquired, but it's not like. But you still want your job.
Yeah, for sure.
I got it acquired and it just died.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they infused us with cash for a while, Corey, and we they allowed us to open a studio here and get Gotfrag TV going.
Dude, I still remember the Gotfrag TV, man. Like the bit rates couldn't even handle the people watching it half the time. Like the shit would just crash.
You had to download Octoshape. There was an Octoshape plugin for a while, and people were like, "Wait, you want me to install this fucking thing before I watch it?" I'm not fucking watching. I'm like, "You have to install it."
That reminds me, because my brain doesn't function properly apparently, and like back in the day, like I started watching Counter-Strike towards the end of 2006 is when I started watching Counter-Strike, and I started playing 2007 and then started competing 2008. So I was like bang bang bang, right, kind of like that. And I don't even fucking remember how you used to watch events back then, because Twitch wasn't around. It wasn't like now.
You used to watch through HLTV most of the time. Like there wasn't like a broadcast and a Twitch and a stream. It was like you just join the HLTV or you physically go to the event and watch. Like
so what were live streams like? Because I specifically remember watching ESWC 2008 when the MYM team won at 1.6 in the finals against Estro. I specifically remember because that was the first tournament that I watched all the way through, where I was just like, I want to watch this shit. And that was the Polish guys. MYM was the Polish guys at the time, for anybody in CSGO who doesn't know. Neo, Taz, Kuban, Lord, and...
I mean, honestly, the casters and everything, none of them weren't like terrible back then. I mean, they were not as good as they are now, but I just like the production quality was way lower.
Might have been Justin TV. I remember that was kind of in the late 2000s popular.
Yeah, I mean, Justin TV, but before Justin TV, which obviously led to Twitch, so first off, it was, if we're going to give a quick history, like first off, it was radio only. So you downloaded Winamp and
I remember that.
And whether it was Quake or Counter-Strike, and this is what like guys like DJ Weed and those motherfuckers invented this shit and figured all this out. So it was like we were watching radio baseball, right? But you then got into the game client, whether it was Quake or Half-Life TV, which is what we used to call the Spectator tool, by the way, not the website. That's what Corey meant. He meant the client, not the website. Which is funny. The website started because they used to give you free Half-Life servers for your match. That's how that company started, which is funny. And then Gotfrag died, and they took over the news. And
half the time, if the event was in China, like they would just die. Like like the HLTVs would just drop constantly.
So what would happen is you would sync up. So like I would be, or you'd be listening to DJ Wheat, and he'd go, okay. My in-game says this. Pause your shit till you get to that, and then you'd sync up with that person, right? And then away you go.
You still have to do that with demos now.
You drive your own camera. There was no video. It's his audio and your own video, if you will, from the Spectator tool that you were using. And then those guys, that crew of people, Marcus, and the TSN guys. The next step was they figured out how to start capturing their PCs. So then they would use a capture card or a TriCaster at that point to capture their PC. They would use the client to grab the video. They would then speak into microphones and jam it all together. And then they would broadcast that over, again, first things like Octoshape, which was a peer-to-peer, like torrent client, if you will. You had to download it. We had to pay to use it, to broadcast to it. And then the more people that watched, the better it got for everybody because you were all sharing a little bit in a weird fucking symbiosis way.
Yeah, like the peer system for torrenting, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just like that, but for the video packets and the audio packets. That was big for quite a while. Like we all used Octoshape. Then the free ones started to come out, right? Ustream was a big one. Stick'em was a big one. But these were more like not even made for us. They were made for people like streaming web cameras and stupid. Like Justin TV started because a guy named Justin wired a camera on himself, and his experiment was streaming himself all day long, right? And that's how Justin TV even started. So we all looked at that and went, oh fuck, we can jam our signal into that, and now we've got a platform to show it, right? And it just kept, and obviously then Justin morphed into Twitch, and then we were talking off camera about the Azubu showed up, and what was the other one that was around for a while? Own 3D, all these different platforms, these free ones started to pop up, and obviously a bunch of them have gone away, owed a bunch of people money, and now it's
about
Facebook. Now the big boys are trying Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter has a live streaming app.
I saw Twitter was showing like NFL games and stuff.
Mixer
last year. Yeah.
Mixer used to be Beam. Beam was bought by Microsoft, changed to Mixer. So yeah, a whole lot of Frankensteining to get it. And once you had the video, then you could talk less in a play-by-play description style because you knew what you were showing. When those guys had to do quick matches, they'd have to explain, he's grabbed this, he's grabbed that, because I don't necessarily know what you're watching. But once you sync that audio and video, now I know I'm giving you both pieces of that puzzle, right? As a broadcaster.
And don't forget, back in the day, there was a minimum of 8 hours of delay before any match actually started.
God, such a nightmare.
People have no idea how good it is now. Like it's like a couple minutes max delays now.
And when there's like 15 minutes of delay now, the people are going nuts. And you're just like, oh.
And half the time, it's not even a delay. They're just talking still. On like the analyst still at desk. So.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And now and again, we've always tried to look like TV and sports, and now we obviously look just as good, if not better, sometimes than what they do with traditional sports and their big events, which is awesome. I think. Yep. So yeah, DMP gonna do all that kind of stuff. I think one of the other cool things we're gonna do is we're gonna build some player boot camp rooms for teams.
Oh, that is cool.
Because again, you got this killer broadcast facility, right? And we do want to do some sort of tournament-y show match stuff, but again, we're not looking to be an ESL or anything like that. But you can't do anything with players till you kind of have a good place for players to play.
Right. I will also say, like, real quick, like the problem with boot camp spots in NA is most people don't really want to boot camp in NA. Like, there's almost no real point to it. Like, in the sense that the only time I could see it being used consistently is when European teams maybe have to travel over here for events. But now all those events provide those spaces already. Like any ESL event, like ESL Pro League, all those teams have practice rooms and all of that. But it would be good for like you said, like for
they
practice
come a week
rooms.
early or something though.
Yeah.
I mean, the rooms themselves are obviously multi-use, right? So on the boot camp side, you build very nice, good size rooms because obviously if a team rents it for a week, they're going to be living in this thing for a week. Think like the nicest VIP room at a PC cafe, right? But no PC cafe around you really, or the E-League rooms, but on steroids, bigger, longer, almost like stage rooms, right? Almost like isolation booths, nice and big, right? Because you also want to be able to get cameras in there and get around in there. Because I'm going to rent it to a team for a week to boot camp. Maybe they got a Dota tournament coming up, right? And not every team is a Cloud9 or a Liquid or a Complexity where they have permanent home facilities that they wouldn't need ours because they can just go to Dallas. They can go to the Liquid facility in LA. So the team comes in, and again, being a next team owner, part of what you try to do during a boot camp when you've got players that don't normally live together all together, or a team or a division that isn't normally all together, not just Counter-Strike, it could be different games, right? Is you try to get all that content out of them because you have sponsor obligations, you've got commercials to film. HyperX wants you fucking on your keyboard and mouse, and they want to do the headshot commercials and all that shit, right? So part of the package you sell the team is not only top-notch boot camp facilities, internet, all the things you need to practice for your Dota event, but HyperX can come in on Tuesday. They can film all their shit right over here, and on Wednesday, Monster comes in and does all the cool shit they want to do on your green screen. So the owner gets his business shit done while the team gets their business shit done, right? All in one building, right? And then once you have that thing built and you're using it for those kind of things, now you've got, when you have 2 of them, you've got 2 stage rooms. So now you could do show matches. You could do small team tournaments. The building's not big enough to have fans in it. You couldn't do a venue experience,
right?
But you could bring teams in and set them up in practice areas and then move them to these rooms as their stage, right? Again, cameras everywhere. Think almost like, again, like you'd see on the stage booths, right? Really nicely done, wired
kind of like
production.
Star Ladder Major,
totally.
What they did with one thing on one side, one thing on the other side, booths and all that.
Yeah, but they'd be wired for production. But these would be closed rooms. Like there'd be a door. Like you would not. It wouldn't be like you'd see the other team right over there. Like they would be closed rooms in this building, right? But again, all wired like their stage setups, cameras, etc. Because one thing I saw at Complexity, which was really cool, we went and saw their facility. And it is a really nice facility. I know he's having a trouble getting players he wants and all that. And all his things aside, his tweet, I'm sure you all talked about that. But the facility is fucking stupid, right? So they got a practice room that is, like 6 computers in a row, standard, right? That they can control the audio. They have speakers in it, and there's a knob on the end, and they can turn up crowd noise to be really fucking loud, right? And they can hit a button, and it flashes all the lights as if you're on stage, gives you ballyhoo and like shit in your eyes, and kind of distracts you, right? The idea is that you practice and scrim while this fucking shit is going all around you, and then you forget it's there, right? And obviously, it's not like being in a stage with 10,000 people in front of you, but it was pretty fucking cool. I was like, I get this, because then you could test if your headsets are working and all that other kind of stuff, in the sense of like.
Well, all of this leads into what my next question was going to be, which is tournaments these days. We saw at not at the major, but at ESL New York specifically, where the crowd was giving stuff away when you're watching. And I don't even mean intentionally. I'm not meaning to throw shade at the crowd either here, by the way. It's like when something crazy happens.
Doing it.
Okay. I'm not talking about the people yelling out, "He's B." I don't mean that. I mean like when there was, and I'm remembering a round specifically where it was Stanislaw versus Glaive, I think. And it was on B on Inferno, and Stanislaw was CT spawn, and Glaive had got the bomb without Stanislaw knowing and ran towards Banana, and the crowd went fucking nuts. And the second the crowd went nuts, Stanislaw and Glaive both just froze. They both just froze. They're like, oh shit, what's fucking happening, right? And then Glaive starts to go back up Banana, and Stanislaw starts to rotate CT, and the crowd goes nuts again. And then they both freeze again. And then Stan's like, okay, what the fuck? And he comes back to CT, Glaive ends up going to B, and he kills him, right? And it's just like, okay.
Stan just too smart though, man. He didn't second guess.
Look, he read the crowd better.
He read the crowd. That's a skill.
Look, fair enough. All I'm saying is every tier 1 event that has a crowd, in my opinion, as a former player, needs to have soundproof booths.
100%. I agree with that.
Even if it's not like, well, it doesn't cancel out noise 100%. Doesn't fucking matter. You need to.
When you got the helicopter headphones on and a soundproof roof, you're probably good.
I was about to say, if you have the headphones mixed with the white noise and the soundproof booths, that should.
Dude, this is honestly gonna sound kind of like people might not agree with me, but dude, I don't even think you should be able to see the crowd. Like, it's so easy to just like have someone in the crowd with a sign that like he holds up when they're going B, or they're like. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be hard. You would never be able to prove that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you could easily have planted people around, or just one guy, or anything. Like,
that's true. You could. I don't know if anybody, but you're right. Though. Yeah. You're right.
So my take on it is, obviously I'm a player guy, right? Even though I'm a shit player myself. I'm all for competitive integrity, so I would love them to be in boosts.
Yeah.
I would even go as so far as to agree exactly with what Corey said. In a perfect world, they can't even see the fucking crowd either. Take every possible.
It's some two-way glass, dude.
Yeah, and there's ways to do that, right? Just get every possible
outside interference,
fucked up situation out of the realm of possibility, right? It adds the possibility, right? And because the sign thing's actually not talked about very much, but. Again, front of these arenas is VIP usually, so it's very easy to team people to get VIP. It would then be very easy to tell the manager, okay, Nikolai Franco is in the front seat. He's going to show the white side of the sign if they're saving. He's going to show the black side of the sign if they've full bought, right? And it's a fucking astrology sign, right?
I'm gonna hold up my I love Davey sign. That you know that my sister is there for some reason, and the fucking crowd holds up her I love Davey sign every time they're going A.
Yep. And if you don't see me holding it up, you know they're going B.
Right.
Like lots of ways that's even scarier, right? Because
I know
the sound thing, like you just like there's evidence of the sound thing affecting, right? Like they stop, they turn, they pivot when they shouldn't. The scary thing about that would be depending on the rule and depending on when the coaches can or can't talk at that tournament, because they're elevated, they're standing up. So they can see out of that booth and into the crowd or off the stage even easier than a player who's got to like maybe look over his monitor to kind of look for the Davey sign. But my coach doesn't, right? And even that could be some sort of tell. If I tap you twice on the shoulder, I saw the sign, bro. Like,
or walks by, kicks the back of your chair as he walks by.
Because maybe he can't talk, right? Maybe it's timeout only, right, for that. But so many ways, right? We've talked about years ago. We even got Frag. We used to talk about what if, again, I'm an ethical player, right? I have some sort of pager or buzzer, and this is again now they take phones and shit. So maybe, but they don't pat you down, they don't frisk you, right? So
I've always said you could have 2 phones.
Or you could have a pager or a buzzer in your pocket, right? And then or in your sock. If my leg starts vibrating, that's you telling me they're going B, right? They don't wand them. They don't really make them walk through metal detectors. I don't think our tier 1 players are cheating.
No, I don't think so either.
Nor do I think anyone's blatantly holding up signs and cheating.
I don't think people are doing it, but you just like if you look at sports.
Yep.
There's always someone willing eventually to cheat, in some weird way. So like whether it happens now or later, it will happen. It will. So it's like you may as well be proactive.
Yeah, if it hasn't already, and we just don't know about it.
And in a weird way, as betting gets more legal and more accepted and less shady, and kids are doing it, but again, just like sports betting on real sports, that brings a whole different element. That you might be a kid who's, made a stage, he's tier 2, tier 1, but he's going to take a dive. He's going to listen to the intel to try to affect an outcome, right?
Yeah, well, people always want people to get caught, but even if you look at like Lance Armstrong, he never really got caught, while he was competing. Like it was after that.
Long after.
Way after. So it's like you might never know a team ever did it. So you may as well take the precautions and just do it so they can't.
And some of the issues we do have that come up, because people on the other side will be like, well, but Davey, fire codes, and they're not really soundproof. Now, we did a show match because I've been in a bunch of the different booths, right? When I was hosted, I would always
they do have those fire codes on all those little booths, which I find a little bit funny because they're really easy to get out of. But
and it's city by city in our country, right? So like there's city ordinances that would relate to fire codes in venues, and then within that venue, an enclosed box in the venue. So Ohio, Columbus might even be different than Ohio, Dayton, right? So that is something that TO has to either decide we only go where we're allowed to bring our boxes, right? But that never wags the dog, so to speak, right? That's always an after effect. Oh yeah, we couldn't do it. Right, but if you only went to places you could do it, maybe you should. I don't know.
I do find the concept funny of like the soundproof box being so dangerous in a fire. Like a fire just breaks out perfectly around the soundproof box, and they're stuck in there and they're fucked. There's nowhere they can go. Like they're screwed.
There's ways around it. Like it's all about money, right? Like you probably need 2 exits. You probably need a door on either side of it, right? So. Either person has easy egress, and the guy at the very end of the booth doesn't have to trample over, because they're also they're not wide, right? Generally, like it's enough for your desk, your chair, and the coach to walk behind, and but like the crack out, the international style booths that they use at all the Dota events for the most part, the big nice glass ones, they use them at Starladder had a similar one. Krakow PGL has them. We did a show match in those that major. And I was a coach for one of the teams. So we had the helicopter headsets on. We were playing and listening. And again, obviously no one's screaming information, but they were definitely soundproof enough. Like we could feel like rumbling, like when like the chants were going between like Henry G's team. Like I could feel that there was like shit going on, but I could not.
No. I've played in booths. I've played in booths, and I've played on stage not in booths, and the difference is fucking significant.
It's not. I can
tell you. The helicopter headphones are almost good enough. Like so, you put them in a booth, and it's just GG.
Yeah. And the problem, what the booth does, that people don't talk about that is more important almost
and they
than
pump
the
white
sound
sound in
is
sometimes.
that it makes it so the casters can't be heard, right?
Yeah.
Because part of the problem is not that I'm playing and part of it is the crowd and all that, but it's the minute I talk to you,
Yep.
my microphone keys and grabs all the audio. Now all of us are doing that. 5 of us are talking, right? And then you've got Moses and you're like, you've got the commentator noise pounding in, the crowd pounding in. It's annoying as fuck. And the white noise, it's annoying as fuck for one.
No, I will say it's like usually the audio quality is real shit. So like you can't really tell. Like it would be hard to like sit there and like one person. Okay, you're gonna hold your mic down so I can hear the casters, right? Okay, go. If you did that, all you'd hear is.
Oh yeah,
like,
yes. They're not trying to do it for intel. It's more like just noise in their ear.
Yeah, exactly.
It just
makes it harder to hear.
Yeah, now you can't hear. So
like as I'm commenting
right?
to you, now you have my voice, the crowd in the background, and the caster's voices all coming through at one time, coming through the microphone.
I mean, how often are you playing with someone and like, hey, bro, do you have a fan going in your room, man? What is that noise in the background? Yep. Well, times that times.
Well, a lot of times when you're watching LANs too, and you'll see like some guy will come running up behind somebody and they won't hear them, and then Twitch chat will be going nuts like, LOL, does he not hear him? It's like, no, he fucking doesn't. Like,
yeah, footsteps go away. Like,
yeah.
So the booth takes care of a lot of that shit too, right? When you key, your comms are clearer, and it is. And again, I'm not here as a spokesperson of the PA, right? I'm an advisor to those guys.
No. You actually know that's weird.
No, but I want to bring it up
that you are officially their spokesperson and you represent them in every way.
In all shapes and forms. Basically, I am the board of directors.
Right.
I am
you are the Players Association.
Yeah, I am MBK and Jordan nobody. But it is something that's like they've discussed a lot, right? And there's no consensus on it. And it hasn't been voted on. Like, do we want boost? Do we not want boost? Because it's more nuanced in that sense in some regards. But generally, the loose opinion is they'd all rather. All is the wrong word, right? Because that means everybody. Majority would take boost over the open environment of being closer to the crowd, right? Competitive integrity, closed booth, better for their game of Counter-Strike. In a perfect world, it's glass, it's thick, so the cameras and everything still show. You still see it as a fan. I mean, like if someone really gets upset because they paid to buy a ticket and they're sitting in the nosebleeds, and the difference between the guy in his chair behind a computer screen is a piece of glass, and that ruins his like in-venue experience. It's so much better if they're on. Really? Does it make that big of a difference?
You watch them. You watch the fucking screen.
Yeah, right. Like, and even the screens show the after camera shots and the zoom in on the player that you would like. It's just a silly it's a throwaway argument that like no, they must for the show. Sports doesn't put him in boost. Oh, shut the fuck up. Really? Like that doesn't even relate.
Hey, LeBron, he's got the ball.
Yeah. Now here's also something that we do. And maybe this would lead to maybe a change in part of the problem, is what esports does, and all esports do it, that no sport does, which is really interesting, and no one talks about this, is we pipe the exact same broadcast into the venue that we pipe to TV or online. If you go watch a hockey game or a basketball game or or any sporting event, you don't get TV play-by-play and color commentary in the arena. You get Jordan for 2. Coming in, LeBron James. Leaving. It's if you guys have been to sporting events, right?
Yeah.
You don't get that, right? So what if we didn't give that? Then that microphone issue would be 10 million times less because the noise in the building would be the ambient crowd noise and the occasional Fnatic 12, NIP 10, maybe be a score update. What if we didn't give that piece of information to the building? Maybe it makes boost a little less important. I think it depends on how much you think the commentators cause a problem.
I'm trying to think. Honestly, I don't think the commentary is a huge problem, especially since we can, like you said, we can pretty much solve it with the booths. And I think as far as esports goes, we're already kind of struggling to fill venues to begin with.
Yeah.
I think pulling commentary out would probably hurt that even more.
It's part of the entertainment value of it, for sure. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Because I do think that like if there was a hypothetical world where like as you walk into like I'm more of a hockey guy or like so like I don't really watch basketball or American football or anything like that. I watch hockey and soccer for the most part. But I feel like when you walked into like an NHL game, like if I was watching like Leafs versus Detroit or something, and you walk in, and as you walk in, they hand out like headphones, and you like plug in your thing, and and you listen, and then they're doing the announcing there on the spot. I would actually like that more. Like I would like having that. I do like the idea, and then if you don't want that, you just take it out and you're watching. So I think that's a decent idea maybe for esports where you instead of them broadcasting it live over the whole thing, it's almost like a radio Clue thing where it's like pay an extra $10 and get the casters as well, and we'll give you earphones and you get the casters.
And once you do that, you could even do languages for people, right?
That's exactly what I mean. You can plug into the Polish stream if you wanted, the English stream, the French stream, whatever you want.
And you brand those giveaway earphones because what sports does that we don't do, in lieu of that constant chatter of play-by-play and color commentary, is they're always doing things to pep the crowd up, right? So bam, 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 and they're always.
Oh yeah, that's one thing we need better halftime shows in esports.
Yeah, we don't need that shit.
I'm sick of it. We have these shitty little
just
skits.
A bumper.
Yeah, these little shitty little skits in between, like the hypest between game part of ESL New York.
That one year.
No, I'm talking about CS specifically. To be fair,
yes,
I'm talking about CS specifically. But like the hypest part of the ESL New York in between shows was a kid who put a bunch of fucking popcorn buckets on his head. Like,
wait, well, you're not dissing Buckethead. Are you dissing Buckethead? Really?
I'm not dissing Buckethead.
That dude is a New York
with...
legend. Okay?
Yeah, this is my point. This is my point. This is my point. The most legendary part of the event was a fucking kid who put popcorn buckets on his head. I don't hate the guy. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm just saying production needs to do a better job. That's all I'm saying.
We need like the Chinese.
And to be fair, also ESL. And to be fair, also ESL almost always kills it with production too. By the way, so I'm not like as far as the actual production quality goes, it's great. Just the between game skits, like the halftime shows, like you're talking about. I think they could be better.
It's like B-roll 90% of the time. It's just like here's France, and it's like, oh, these are pretty shots. But like I get bored of them after the first time I see them on the first break.
The difference though is also like traditionally it's one football game with one halftime, but we might have a day that's got 3 matches, right? So it's a little different how they have to do their breaks. I'm with you.
All right, no problem. If you want to hire me,
you want Beyonce to be rolled. Like, I don't get what do you need?
Okay, so as far as like halftime shows go, I don't want to give away too many of my like sweet ideas, just in case I ever get hired for an event. Anyway,
hang on. Let me get it. Do not peek's gonna write all this shit down, man.
Yeah, write it down. Yeah, write it down. So get ready. Get out the notebook. So like what they do right now is they go out into the crowd and they like interview people in some way, right? I feel like having like instead of just doing like these interviews, I feel like having competitions set up ahead of time, like what they do like in hockey games where like somebody has to score from the halfway line and get it shot in. Like maybe in between games, 2 people like in between maps, 2 people from the crowd are selected and they're gonna have a 1v1. We got two PCs set up. These 2 people have a 1v1. Whoever wins gets $500. Right? Like something like that, just like shit like that, just to like keep people going in between the games. That's kind of a shitty idea I just came up with on the fly, but I'm just saying like that would have been more entertaining. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that'd be
some magician.
Wait, you didn't?
Nah, I'm good. We're good. We're good on that one.
You didn't like the trivia question DHL stuff or the build your own box DHL stuff?
Does anybody like that? Seriously? Like, just out of curiosity.
DHL, I guess DHL.
I mean, Alex was there. Alex, what was it?
I was there, and that was like amazing. Like this one guy was so good at putting boxes together. I thought he had to have worked for DHL. I was very impressed with his skills.
Did you get his autograph? You should have.
I should have. I saw him in the arena, and I just like was like I was shook. I was shook.
He's an intimidating presence.
Like Buckethead. It's like these guys are they're just walking around New York and just like they own the streets. Like I can't do it. I can't.
But yeah, I like boosts. I mean, my personal thing is please boost everywhere at every time. Please.
As a pleb viewer who, that's me. Just one thing that really shocked me was knowing that the crowd noise or the white noise that's piped in is actually obscuring information in the game for players. Like that actually was shocking when I first found that out.
Dude, I hate it.
Like the fact that you can't even hear reads in the game, like that is crazy. That
it really depends on how loud they make it. Like
yeah.
Like, a lot of times they like let you adjust it a bit. They'll be like, is that too much? And but they'll always have like a baseline that you can't go down from. But it can be so loud that it like bothers me, like while I'm playing.
Yeah.
Well, I think anything.
It's given me headaches before, where I'm like sitting in the thing and I put the earphones in and I'm just like, and I'm sitting there for like 10 minutes and I'm like, dude, why do I have a fucking headache now? And I take the headphones off and I'm just like, oh, that's so much better. Like, yeah. It's fucking ridiculous. But they do what they have to do. Anyways, so we've been talking about this shit for a while now. Let's get into some news over the past week. So of course, as we were doing the show last week, we were in the midst of DreamHack Malmo. Now it's obviously over at this point. Fnatic won. Now I don't want to kiss my own ass a little bit too much here, but I want to say that I went on record saying that this Fnatic team was going to be fucking good and they're going to have upset potential. And although this event really got fucked by the fact that it was right after ESL New York and sort of fucked everything because it was like one day later, I think because the major made them have to change their schedule. Like there was something that happened where the schedule kind of got changed and they had to force it in. But Fnatic winning, beating Vitality in the final, ZyWoo getting the MVP, of course. But it was a 2-1 victory. Really close games every single game. Vitality won Dust 2 16-14. Fnatic then won in overtime on Inferno, and then Mirage last map 16-13. JW putting up big numbers, Crim's doing well as always, and then like the main three guys doing their thing with Crims, JW, and Flusha. What do we think about that?
It's nice to see him back in that sense, right? It's been a tough one for Fnatic to say the least. Like the Swedes in general have not been shining lately, to say the least. So that was cool. It's unfortunate that what you mentioned, the scheduling that led to the jet lagging and the back-to-back of some of those teams. Again, they all had to play under the same conditions. It all showed up from there. They all decided to do both. Like you can't really cry too much for it, but it is.
I don't feel bad for them anyway. It's just like you just have to put a little asterisk next to it.
Yeah, we all want every team to bring their best Counter-Strike that day, right? Or have the best conditions to start that. Sometimes you could be.
I always think that when a team travels internationally, you need like 2 days, like at least, like recover. Because your first day you're gonna be miserable. It doesn't matter. You're gonna feel like shit that day. The second day is kind of like you're like, all right, I can eat right. Maybe you can like do some gym, do whatever you kind of need to do. Probably take some media stuff, eat some food. Then you're good. The next day, usually you feel good. Like, but that day you're still not like 100. Like you're just like kind of getting over.
Yep.
So your body needs time to recover.
It's generally that second night of sleep. Either your body resets and you don't wake up at some fucked up time, or it does, and then you're fine that third day, right? But like sometimes I'll never get out of that jet lag cycle because you just can't get that night of sleep that kind of tells your body, okay, now it's daytime for you, it's nighttime for you. But to your point, it's usually this first night you're so tired from traveling or whatever. The second night, you're like, okay, I gotta stay up. If you're in Europe, right?
Yeah.
But if you never get that cycle, you could be fucked. So like, take Astralis, for example. They came to New York, right? So what kind of jet lag were they dealing with to New York? That's only how many hours would that have been for them? Because then they had to go back, right? So they partially adjusted and then went home. But were they adjusted enough that they were fucked up when they went home?
I have a harder time going home.
Versus Liquid just going one way, right?
I don't have much of an issue going somewhere. Like I'm usually fine, and then when I go back, I get destroyed. Like I have such a hard time.
So when you
melatonin's definitely been a lifesaver.
Yeah, I think it's just how you adjust one way and then you adjust like a couple days later, so your body's like, dude, what the fuck? Or you know what I mean? Like, whereas maybe if you stayed there for a month and then went home, it's less of a big deal. But if you just did it over the span of like a week, then your body just gets used to that, and then you send it back.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you doing to me, man? Where am I? Yeah.
Also,
I think teams are having like sleep people now, right? Like I know sports teams have had like sleep specialists on their rosters for a while, and they're only going maybe 2 or 3 hours a lot of time. Like in the NBA, they're not going like a 9-hour time zone. So.
Yeah, and in the final again, ZyWoo putting up crazy numbers, 82 and 60 across the 2 maps. Only person on his team positive yet again. And Alex did a bit of a, I'm not going to say funny interview, but in an interview he was talking about how ZyWoo, I don't want to misquote him here, but this is pretty much what he said, where he said, yeah, like ZyWoo gets lots of kills, but he gets set up for those kills. Most of the people he kills are blind.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I swear to God,
I'll
this is
play
what he
for
said.
them, and I'll do
on Vitality?
Yeah.
The Alex on. Okay, you're not talking about me. Okay.
No,
I was shook.
No, sorry, no, not you.
I was like, I'm not shit talking. Sorry.
No, absolutely not. No. The Alex on Vitality said that
right.
ZyWoo gets lots of kills because they set him up for lots of kills, which is fucking hilarious. But he's not entirely wrong.
They set him up by giving him the op.
Right, like it's in
bottom that
guy. I understand though that it's rare to have someone that never misses easy kills. Like I know it seems like you watch it and you think like, oh, I could do that, but I promise you will miss some of those shots. He will miss none of them. There's a difference, right? So if you set up someone that's never gonna miss a trade, you got the fucking ideal scenario. Whereas like most players are.
It's like, yes, they're setting him up in the sense that every team plays through their best player for the most part. In that sense, they're setting him up. It's standard. That's standard strategy. You set up your best player to maximize his ability. Sure. But the difference is your best player is head and shoulders better than everybody else besides Simple. So like,
and I would go as far to say that Simple and ZyWoo are completely different. Like Simple does miss some easy kills, but he hits some fucking insane ones that like other people can't. So it's like a little. I think ZyWoo is just the best carry, just because he's just so consistent in his. Like he's always there. Like you go off cat, you're dead. You got off. You know, like some other players that might be better individually will miss every once in a while, and like he doesn't.
Well, and again, at every level, from shitty like me to all the way up to the top, like sometimes the easiest shots are the hardest shots because you're like, oh, I got this, and you're like, oh, what the fuck? I missed that. You know.
And then you get in your own head, right? You're like
trying to shoot someone in the back is the hardest thing in Counter-Strike to do. Like you can never just shoot someone in the back because they'll turn around and shoot you in the face. Before it's just so again, ZyWoo not missing all the easy ones and then making all the challenging ones. But it is kind of his job to be set up to do all that too. So it's kind of a weird quote in that sense. Like,
I thought it was strange.
Quarterback threw the ball a lot to get the scores in there. Like, kind of what he's supposed to do. Right.
Counter-Strike player left click on heads. I don't know what's going on here.
I mean, we gave him the bomb to plant, and he planted it all the goddamn time. But he only planted it because we gave it to him. Really,
I think part of it probably is that he gets frustrated, and other people get frustrated on the team, where they think like, "Oh, we're only doing well because ZyWoo hard carries us," and then he's thinking to himself like, well, we're designing these strats kind of so he succeeds, and he probably wouldn't do quite as well. Maybe some of us could do a little better if we reversed it a bit, which is fair. You know, obviously, like you're not making finals of a tournament off the back of one dude. Like you're not. So,
no, absolutely. I'm sure he's just tired of people. Like, you know, I'm sure he's tired of.
It sucks getting no credit. Like it really does.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean. Try being a Simple teammate for a while too, right? Not saying not deserve sometimes, but you know what I mean. Like, I imagine the other players are like, "What about us, man? You wouldn't be you without us."
You're electronic. You're fucking insane, but Simple just gets all the credit.
To flip it to the champions side, like Fnatic, I still am just really impressed with how Golden calls. Actually, I think that guy's he was severely underrated to get removed from the team, and now like. Fnatic, until they played the finals, they had the best T-side win percentage in the entire tournament. In the finals, they had a little bit more trouble, so like I think Furia passed them just by a couple percentage points or something. But like Golden on defaults, like his team is so good at defaulting already, because that's just, I guess, what Fnatic players have always been good at. Like JW is just really good at getting space with the op. Crims just finds himself in spots. Flusha just like reads every situation perfectly and knows whether he should push or whether he shouldn't. He'll take space like just with gun work a lot of the time, a little like light utility. And then Golden just makes these mid rounds all the time that are just like, dude, that's like the best mid round you could have made, like every single time. He gets people into spots that just feel like, oh, that's like, they're confused. The other team is actually lost in this round. So I don't know. I think he should get a lot of credit. I like that they like him getting brought back onto the team and everything. Like it just feels like it fits their play style. He's kind of like a new age Pronax in my opinion. Just kind of like centers the troops and makes the call.
From what I know from like playing with or doing a little bit of coaching and stuff for the C9 people, was they were telling me that a lot of what Golden calls is defaults almost every round, and then he's got little plays off everything. So like nothing is like random. Like he's got it all planned. Sometimes he has a plan from the start of the round, but if something happens, he's got plans for like what happens, you know. So there's a lot of like mini strats being run. Like a lot of, like you said, people are getting set up, but if that doesn't work out, there's like another plan, you know, like based off like, oh, he died, this is what happens if he dies, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he gets
such a weird thing with him being cut in the first place.
That's true.
Always bothered by that. It's like, what are you all doing? Well, you You just won. You just won. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Sometimes
they won like 3 tournaments in a row, right? They won like
it was WESG in Katowice, like 2018.
But those are big prize money.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
That's why they ended up at the top of the prize pool for the year, kind of stuff, because they won those. Yeah, he just very slightly modifies default sometimes. It'll be like, and it's like him. He involves himself sometimes. It'll be like on Mirage. They'll like send one guy towards A, one guy towards B, 3 towards mid. But sometimes Golden's like, you know what? I'm gonna make a play with you at B, and then that little mix up. He just does these like nice little mini mix ups that are just like so consistently effective. I don't.
Yeah, well, like from being a caller, sometimes like you tell someone what you want them to do. Like, you read the game and you're like, okay, like this is what's happening. We need this to beat them. So a lot of times you could tell another player, but like sometimes they don't really get what you mean. Like they get what you mean, but like not exactly.
Yeah.
So it's easier just to do it yourself, even though like it might be better to have Flusha do it, but like maybe Flusha goes too slow. So if Golden just goes and does it, then he knows that it's like going to be done like right. And I think that's like a really good trait to have. That's what Glaive does as well. Like both those players kind of like will go off and like do random stuff on their own, like create space.
Yeah.
I was about to say you'll see a lot of aggro CT side plays from Glaive specifically where he's going and getting info and making some sort of aggro play and creating space because he knows exactly how he wants it done.
He's watched the demos, he's watched all that stuff, gone over the stuff with Zonic, the match stuff. So it's easier probably for him to do that and be like, yo, Zipnix, maybe you should just push this at like a mid, like it's hard to tell people to do that, even though it doesn't seem like it is.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, like he gets to do the experiment, whatever he wants to test, and doesn't have to worry that if it didn't work, it's not because it wasn't executed.
Right, yeah.
Like the test was done properly and failed, so to speak, like because Flusha didn't do it right. He's going to go do it because then he gets that proper feedback. It worked or it didn't work, but I did what I wanted to test. So it's a better control. He's a better control subject, right, if you will.
Yeah, and a lot of people they might not understand too. They'll be like, oh, well, you could just tell them what to do beforehand. But like sometimes those calls are made during a game.
Yeah.
Like in a game you see an opening and it's just telling someone to do mid game. It's risky too, right? Because like Glaive could just go off and die, or Golden could just go off and die. But then you're the one that died. You didn't get Flusha killed. Like sometimes players, when you tell them to do stuff from experience, like they go and die and they're like, man, I didn't want to do that. And you're like, well, my bad, dude. Like,
yeah, and Golden is really good at understanding just like the macro implications of when he gets space. Like he doesn't, like you're saying, Semphis is just like he doesn't always like. Yeah, he doesn't. Sometimes it's just taking space away, and then he understands what that pressure causes, so that on other things on the map can like fall into place, and just like it seems like there's a chain reaction of kind of just information.
You make your life so much easier on every other player when you make a little bit of space somewhere. Like when like for an example on Inferno, if you can keep both B players B while your teammates are hitting A, like it's so much easier only worrying about like a dude pit side and wrap than like a third dude in the site hiding, like waiting for you. Like it's just so much easier.
All right, so Star Ladder or Starseries, since they they just finished their major, they have announced their newest event and their team list for the Starseries IGLing Season 8. The invite list, now bear with me, there's quite a few teams on here, but I'm going to list them out. It's Avangar, Renegades, Furia, MIBR, NIP, Fnatic, EG, Vitality, G2, Mouse Sports, Navi, North, Heroic, Invictus, the Chinese team, with 2 Russians and 3 Chinese people who I've never heard of. I don't know if they qualified or what. 5 Power. Yep. And then the winner of CBCS Season 1. Looks like another Brazilian team will be in there. So besides the 2 Chinese teams who I've honestly never really heard of, the only guy I recognize on 5 Power is Savage. The rest of it is a pretty stacked event with a lot of the Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams going. And they always do good events. These are usually like all BO3s. Like usually their events are a big, long BO3, multiple weeks kind of thing. So I think this will be a really cool event, especially with lots of teams there. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a week long, and it's in Turkey. So the main one I'm seeing that's not at this one is Liquid. I'm not sure what they've got going on, or maybe
they're still replacing NAF.
Oh yeah, Astralis obviously. Astralis too. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're replacing NAF. That's true. So
I think this is a really good time for a Vanguard to try to prove themselves, whether that major was a fluke or not, because they went right into the ECS. Europe and just won the first series that they needed to, so they qualified for that. So they showed that they're still actually like legit, but are they like legit on the tier kind of 1 level? There's no Liquid in Astralis, but there's still Navi, there's still Vitality, there's still EG and Fnatic. I guess you would consider pretty up there now. So Vanguard have a lot to prove. I think that's my team to watch.
Dude, James has his own meme of like anytime someone saves, they get called name. Like he's made it, dude. They're legit.
He's legendary now.
He's that's true. That is fair. Like he's that's just like his thing now. Like James time, you know. Like not many people get to be not many people get to that level. So no matter what now, he's got that going for him. I wonder how long that meme's gonna go for. Like
I think for a while, dude. Like,
yeah.
As long as they're relevant as a team, or like he's relevant as a player.
I feel like even as long as CSGO is big, like maybe once it switches games, like in the
I don't know how someone could outbait him. No one can one up it. So like,
yeah, he's gonna hold that one for a while.
Yeah. So
I want to see EG rested, see if they're full of shit or what that's all about.
That's a good one.
Glad they're back. I mean, obviously energy guys, but like the team came out of nowhere.
Right.
But cool to see EG back, and then Fnatic. Let's see if they can.
No, if you're EG, you're looking at this event like this is another one for us to win, right? Because Astralis and Liquid both aren't there. If you're EG, you're going into this event, and this is going to be interesting for them because they're going to be going into event as the favorite to win for the first time, right? That's not something that's happened to them before. Especially like even the energy team. I think the last time they went into an event where I'm thinking like they're supposed to win this one would have probably been those minors that they had to play in, and then the one time they didn't win it, the other time they did. So yeah, they this will be a new thing for them. I'm backing the boys though. I think they probably will win it, but it's definitely not going to be easy for them.
Like it's just such an awesome like org name.
I'm sure that makes Scoots feel good, doesn't it? Knowing that you built that brand.
Yeah, it's nice to see him back, man. It really is. Because obviously, like, I joined that team because of their 1.6 team. Basically, that's why I went to work with Alex. I'm like, I love your Counter-Strike team. I want to come help. So yeah, the fact that they're back is awesome.
Yeah, it's just a cool brand. Like, it's just a nice brand to have in Counter-Strike.
Get nothing back on there.
Yeah, no shit, right? Tommy, we need to get Tommy.
Just Tesla reports.
Fraud. God, Warden played for us for a while too. Like, there's a bunch of people still floating around.
I'm excited for the B-roll for this tournament, also for the halftime, because I don't even know what Belik Turkey. The only city I know is Istanbul in Turkey, and I just like I don't know what this B-roll is gonna look like. I'm curious.
Dude, you can make anything look sick though. Yeah, I know. With drones, like you just find the right spot. It's good.
Yeah. The one cool building, like, is there actually like I don't know what's there. So
I mean, you Google it, looks beautiful. It looks like a seaside resort town, maybe.
Oh, nice.
If I'm looking at
that's great. Mediterranean, sure.
Yeah,
I mean, sign me up for that.
This is something that I would love, that I've been itching to ask you about because of your connect. Like, obviously, when I was playing, I was in the players union, right? I filled out the form. I signed up, whatever. I did the thing. I did the thing. Never spoke to anybody one time ever about anything. Nobody ever reached out to me. Nothing. There was never any communication in any form. So I don't even know how it works, to be fair.
Do we have a proper email address for you, man?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. I get emails sometimes saying like, hey, just so you know, this person's been added as a player representative, and I'm like, cool. Nice. But yeah. So So there's that, and I forget my train of thought.
Where are you going with your insults to me, man?
Yeah.
I'm just an advisor.
No insults. No insults.
It's your association. Maybe you should take better charge of it. Maybe you should get involved.
Like I said, I wish I was. I don't know how to go about that, but I wish I was.
To prevent forest fires.
Right. So how does an event being located in Bahrain come about? And what exactly is the player union's take on such things? Because I know personally, if I had any input in the player union, I'd be sitting at that table going, so we're all in agreement, we're not fucking going there, right? Like, right, guys? Yeah, we're good? Like,
yeah, I mean, okay, so first off, I don't represent, I'm not a spokesperson for the PA,
right.
So I
when I said that earlier, I was just joking. Anybody watching is joke.
I will throw a few caveats out there. I am just an advisor to the board, advisor to the guys that run the association for the board, and an advisor to the membership. So just an advisor, just Scoots, right? So I don't think they've talked about it. Again, like the association is worried about like how one company doesn't own the entire goddamn space right now, right? How you get Valve to stop fucking up the major dates, right? So they're not sitting around worried about Bahrain, right? That would be a team and a player decision on their own. I don't think it would be something the player decision. Maybe we shouldn't go to Beijing because China, right?
That's also a fair point.
I mean, it is. I'm not mocking what you're asking.
No, you're right. No, I agree with you. Yeah, that's a fair point.
There is a point where a player association can be kind of an activist player base for those kind of discussions. Mm-hmm. But I think right now the players are just trying to still sit at the table with everybody else, right? So less worried about Bahrain and more worried about what league structures are coming, what exclusivity is coming, like those kind of things. Again, not necessarily not a valid thing to think about, but I don't think they're thinking about that. Now, the players that are being invited and the teams that are being invited, they internally might be having some sort of discussion going, oh, we don't want to fucking go. Do you want to fucking go?
I want to go.
But as an association, like as far as I know, it's not something being officially kind of discussed to make a stand on.
So I guess there's nothing being discussed about the whole Chinese stuff with after the whole Hearthstone blew up. Obviously, that's a different esport, but...
Yeah, correct. Again, same kind of thing. Like the association's still trying to fix the core stuff to Counter-Strike.
Right.
An association to worry about, and not necessarily try to swing this activist dick. Not saying they shouldn't swing an activist dick, right? But maybe too early for that when you're just trying to get at the table with the ESLs and DreamHacks and everybody else.
Yeah, only so many things you can focus on at one time, of course.
Yeah. But again, certainly something that. It would also be the kind of thing if enough players did want to think about it, then it would be discussed, right? If it came forward and we all went, hey, we should talk about this. Their association is built for them to control all that, right? It's not run by me. So I don't think the players are talking about it, Davey, in that sense, or they would have brought it up in more of a.
That's interesting because when that came out, that was the first thing that crossed my mind was, I wouldn't be fucking going there. Like that was like the first thing that crossed my mind. It was like you couldn't pay me enough money to go there.
Yeah, and again, like. Where do you draw the line that?
I'll go too. If Blast hear this, me and Corey are down. Like, just send us. Just like
I'm the only person.
We're talking about Bahrain, Corey.
I like China and Bahrain. I like China and Bahrain.
Davey, what's wrong with Bahrain? Why wouldn't you go?
What? Like actually, like, do you want?
I'm asking you,
political about it.
I'm asking why.
Okay, well they have very serious human rights issues where saying the wrong thing could result in you being severely punished way outside of the realms of reality. Like, sure. and you might not even realize you're saying the wrong thing at the time you're saying it. Right? I'm someone who, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm edgy. You're right, but I definitely don't censor myself very well. I kind of just say things that I think are funny. Like I'll have a hot take that's an opinion. And it might not actually be my opinion. I just
understand you, dude. It's fine.
What are you gonna say?
I might just think it's fun. Well, that's my point. You don't know. Like what if I make
Unless you're drawing a picture of their deity or Muhammad, no. you're probably
no, we're definitely not going there.
Don't
we're
do
definitely
that.
not going there.
Don't do any sacrilege things.
Yeah, you can't even do that anywhere else either, though.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
South Park couldn't even fucking do it, dude. They tried.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I feel like I'm gonna go there and get just put in prison immediately the second I land. It's not even that. It's just the what goes on there. It's almost like from a moral standpoint, you don't want to support and
you don't want to be associated with that.
And you don't want to artificially promote this thing that is not a good thing.
Okay,
right?
I got you. So you're not worried that Davey would go to Bahrain and get thrown in jail for something stupid?
No, not necessarily.
But how they treat their own citizens, how they act as a country.
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you on that, but that is a really slippery slope, right? Because your morality of a shit-ass country and mine might be different. Because you could add Brazil, you could start going down a whole bunch of internationally known countries that we all go to for all sorts of reasons that maybe aren't the greatest to their own citizens, right? Our own country, our own country, Alex, you're in the middle of my screen.
Yeah. Me and Cora are both Canadian.
Again, I'm not trying to compare any of that to Bahrain, but we went to Dubai. Was anyone bitching about Dubai? China, we go to China all the goddamn time.
Yeah, I also publicly denounced that too, though. So,
but
I know. At least I'm consistent in that. No.
Okay.
I've been there for an event before, and I was a blissfully young, ignorant, child that was just going because I thought it was a cool place to go to.
No, I'm with you.
But now, as you get older, and I don't really like to get political. I'm not, it's not really my thing. But at the same time, I wouldn't want to go there, because obviously, if I'm doing events these days, I'm not playing. I'm on camera guy, right? If I'm going to be doing analyst or hosting or whatever I'll be doing, and if I ever go to events. So for me, being part of a show, being part of a broadcast, that was 100%. If you're doing a show in Bahrain, they want you to promote the country, right? They're definitely, they're like, yo, get people to come here, travel, all that stuff, right? 100% that's what'll be going on, and I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that.
No, it makes sense.
That's why I wouldn't go.
Yeah,
on a shell.
Yeah, and again, I think everyone's got a slightly different moral compass on that. So I would imagine, again, not speaking for the players, I imagine they all have a variety of compasses. It doesn't mean that the PA would never start looking at this kind of stuff and go, this location we want to vote on and see how the player base feels, and then pass that on. But I think in the early stages of this thing, just trying to stay at the table with everybody and have a place at the table is what they're fighting with now, so to speak. Because it's still in its infancy. Probably too early for them to get activists like that. Now, what I would say, though, let's flip it. Let's say that this is the Overwatch Professional Players Association, right? And we're a Blizzard game. And we are a legalized entity like we are in Counter-Strike, right? They don't have this, right? Overwatch doesn't have this.
So this is hypothetical for everybody.
Yeah, this is hypothetical. Overwatch doesn't have a professional association, and nor do we're Counter-Strike. But let's say we had this structure and 150 pro players of Overwatch, right? And we are a year plus into being alive and open because we kind of opened last summer, right? Then because of what just happened to let's say or we're a Hearthstone association, even worse, right? Then that would literally force, like, that player association would probably have to sit down and go, our player or the game dev of the same company's sister game just did this to this kid. We need a response, right? And that's when maybe you would want to have a player perspective put forward to your game developer. But this isn't.
And I think in an ideal world, right? Let's say hypothetically, in an ideal world, when that happens to that Hearthstone player, you would have the Hearthstone Players Association that could all get together and be like, no, this is not okay.
Yeah, we appeal.
We appeal.
We lawyer up.
We will not play. We will not participate.
Yeah, then you boycott.
Until you fix this.
All the Grandmasters will not show up at BlizzCon.
But let's say hypothetically that same thing happened in Counter-Strike. You go on to let's say IM Beijing, and again hypothetically, guys, just saying. Let's say IM Beijing's going on. Team Liquid is there. Nitro, he's a friend of mine, so I'm going to use him as an example. He goes on camera. They ask him something about something, and he says something. They ask him are you liking China so far? And he says the same thing. He's like, yes, but stand with the people of Hong Kong, blah blah blah, right? Like, let's say he's at an event in Hong Kong and this happens, and then all tournament organizers are forced to say Nitro's not allowed to play. This is the hypothetically exact same thing happens, but we have the current Players Association.
Yep.
How many of the players in the current Players Association would be able to not only mostly just financially be able to say, you know what, for the next 3 months, we're not going to get paid? How many people are actually in the financial position to stand up to that? Because I don't think it's the same as it is in professional sports in the sense that they can take a year strike and they're going to be okay. There's a lot of players in the tier 2 and tier 3 scene who you would need to step up. Like, everybody would have to do it, right? That's the idea. But how many of those people are actually going to be in the financial position to be able to do that, if the situation does arise?
Well, the idea is your well-played guys are also your franchisee guys, are your well-known guys, are your influential guys. So when they strike, they're striking for everybody else. Like we have a sport. So if all of tier 1 strikes and the top 10 of Counter-Strike says we're not playing for 3 months, the 15th best team doesn't magically get as good, right? Because they go up in rank, right? Like, you can't replace Astralis with 5 other guys. Right. You can't scab a pro team.
But right now, for example, outside the top 10, just as a quick example, the teams are G2, Furia, NiP, MIBR, North, FaZe, Optic, Virtus. Like, I'm just looking through Cloud9, Big. So you could still have unless everybody did it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the idea behind a union strike would be that the union strikes. So the big boys would strike along as the MDL kids would strike because they are also in the association, so to speak. But the idea, the power of the strike is not the MDL kids not playing. It is ESL looking at their schedule going, we have no teams of note coming to our tournaments. We will sell no tickets. No one will watch. They win, right? The top players draw the day, right? They have that leverage, right?
Yeah, you'd have to have all of tier 1 and 2 do it.
Well, no, you don't. You need tier 1 to do it because tier 2 won't get invited to go play in Beijing.
Yeah, I guess it does depend on what you're doing. For me, tier 1 is like the top 5 teams, and then from there, like after that.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, when I think tier 2, I think like the guys that are MDLs. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So for me, tier 2 would be, tier 3 would be like the MDL teams.
Yeah, you're probably thinking more also pure player skill, and I'm thinking more kind of structurally skilled and where they live in the ecosystem too. Like if the big boys all say fuck you,
right?
Like the game stops, right? ESL would, without the big boys going, ESL has no tickets to sell. They have no one to watch, right? So, and I think hypothetically, to go along with it, I think that absolutely would be a topic that if it happened in Counter-Strike would absolutely rev up the player association engines to talk about it, to legally figure out who did it. Was it NAF that did it or Twist did it? Who said it?
I said Nitro, but
yeah, Nitro. Figure out where they sit legally based on the rule set of the game they're playing, their contract with their team. In a perfect world, you get the teams and the players on the same side of the human rights issue, and then you've got actually 2/3 of the pie covered. That is striking. It's Liquid and the players. It's Astralis and the players, not just the 5 players, right? And then the tournament organizers have even got more leverage against them. It's not like Liquid's going to all of a sudden just grab 5 more players to go to China with, right, and call them the new Liquid. Like again, think like Scab football, where they basically had different players play. Again, lots of hypotheticals, but we would definitely the association would ramp up to figure out actually how to take.
So in that situation, you think like you do believe that the player association actually would be able to step in and do something about it?
Yeah, I mean we would be. I mean we've addressed smaller things already. We addressed when fucking Valve dropped a major on top of the player break. We addressed that in public. We said, we're disappointed in you, Valve. How dare you? Right? We talked to you. So this would be huge if a player got globally reprimanded for speaking his mind, right? Now, if he starts dropping homophobic, racist shit at an interview, that's different than like what you're talking about, right? If he literally does what the Hearthstone kid does and like waves a flag for Hong Kong, so to speak, and then gets slapped for it, our lawyers would probably have a field day going, oh, yeah, this is what we live for. Let's help this kid, right? Now, I can't tell you the players would strike or the players what action they would take. What would happen is we would decide that it was an issue, and then we would vote on what we do with the issue, so to speak, right? It could be strike. It could be write a formal letter. It could be reach out to ESL or whoever behind the scenes and go, hey, this is what we're going to do if you don't change. It could be all sorts of actions, if you will. But that would absolutely fire up the engines. That's kind of what we live for in a way, right? But since this is a tournament organizer picking a city and a country to go to that is free and clear for you to go to or not go to as a player, it's hard for us to, I think, probably just jump in and go, bad country. Maybe not forever. I mean, look, the NBA is letting the NBA Player Association is one of the most powerful player associations in the fucking planet. As sports PA, one of the most fucking powerful, right? And look at what that entire business is doing when it's kowtowing to China. So, like, can't think we have any more power than that. But we would again make a stand. We'd make a statement. Whether whoever that whether ESL goes fuck you, we're gonna move everything to China or not, you don't know. But I think if it hit that close to home, Davey, we absolutely would activate, for lack of a better word, right? But probably not just because ESL wants to. Because again, we go to Russia a lot. Russia could be considered a really fucked up, corrupt country for some people, right? A lot of Eastern European countries, right? But not for others. So where do you draw that? I mean, some countries are easier, right?
You're legit.
But yeah. So I think that's kind of where the PA would have to deal with it, right? Is if it affects us.
Right.
Or there's a comfort level. Or there's enough comfort level in a couple of years where just those kind of opinions can be put forward because all the other shit is already done and dusted, right? Tournament conditions, right? We're still fucking wondering why we can't get good monitors at all our events, bro. Like, so not going to worry about Bahrain right now when we can't even get good monitors everywhere. So
okay, yeah, no,
right?
fair enough.
Right?
It seems like in general, though, like, not to call out the Counter-Strike community, but they're not really politically outspoken other than very small things like all the time. Like the NBA players platform is just like they it's almost like it's their duty now to try to to use their platform to create world change, but for Counter-Strike, I don't think people really recognize that they have that, or they don't exercise any like ounce of that influence, other than just saying the Krieg sucks.
Yep, I'll give you some.
And that's not even doing anything. So
yeah, dude, I think in some regards that is one of the reasons the PA is in existence, is to kind of organize that, because not every player has the same opinions on stuff either. You might like Boost, you might hate Boost, right? So the idea is to, on topics that matter, you start gathering more and more of a collective opinion, and then you start making it public, right? We feel this, we feel that, we feel this. So eventually the players could collectively start worrying about charity issues and all sorts of other issues. But right now we're worried about basic quality of life of their side of the ecosystem, right? But eventually that gets settled, right? You find a business norm with TOs and team owners and standardized contracts, and all of that shit goes away, just like it did in sports. When they started their PAs, they dealt with a whole bunch of shit for a bunch of years, and then all that was just done. And now here's your collective bargaining agreement. Well, here's what we're going to sign this year. This is how this goes. So then you start worrying about being more socially active and using that leverage and power for good, if you will, versus just like securing the career stuff, right?
Yeah, we're like building the base of the pyramid right now, where the NBA is already on top of it.
Totally,
and, like do everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like baseball's had a PA for like 100 years, right? So like we are just getting started, right?
Yep.
Would they have a peaker's advantage?
they should. They should
have a peaker's advantage. Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm not really throwing too much shade at you here, Scott.
No, that's fine, dude.
I do feel a little personally attacked by the whole name, like "Do Not Peek." Like, I just feel, given the conflict there, naming wise,
and we're both making content.
Yeah, we're both making content. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's a personal attack.
Maybe we combine. My peeker's advantage.
My lawyers told me not to really address this subject, but our legal counsel is in Canada. They thought maybe if I said that to you, that would
fun
be
fact.
I already sent my lawyers to contact yours.
Cool. Actually, just tell them to send me to send me Crown Royal. I have some here, but I'm running out a little bit. Like any sort of Crown Royal or maple syrup or anything.
Tell them to send me to Bahrain.
There, you want to go to Bahrain? Yeah. Live correspondent, Do Not Peek Entertainment.
Yes.
Combat reporter, according to Davey, who's what you'd be.
Combat reporter. Alex is it's actually just like they think they're going there for a Counter-Strike tournament, but joke's on them.
Yeah. Now
it's live.
Our legal counsel knew you would bring this up, Davey. When I asked for clearance to be on the show, and what I've instructed to tell you is actually. Mm-hmm. The Do Not Peek bat was born out of a CPL event long before your show, right?
That's really convenient.
We use the word peek before you use the word peek to denote the same thing, peeking in Counter-Strike. Do Not Peek bat, peeker's advantage.
What was the actual date of the
I mean,
creation?
there's actually YouTube evidence of the commercial we made. Hang on, YouTube.
Yeah, no problem.
Peek video. Let's see. I want to say early 2000s.
Oh.
I'm going to do a little copyright strike on that video. You're violating something there.
Motherfuckers, man.
Because they're Canadian. You said they're Canadian. I mean, I have
the original name of the Peeker's Advantage podcast was the Canadian Counter-Strike podcast or something like that, right? It had Canada in the...
No, it didn't.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I'm pretty sure the first episode it had that.
2003 copyright this commercial, the Do Not Peek Back commercial, by the way.
Okay, so I was fucking 7, dude. Like, stop bullying me.
Yeah, so I mean,
you took your lunch money.
You're kind of bullying me right now.
What is this?
As long as you keep the show this high quality of production value, the picture, the Discord look, we will not legally come at you. But if you step into any sort of studio environment,
right.
Can we use your studio?
I was gonna say that would actually be funny to do a live Peeker's Advantage from Do Not Peek.
I'm down.
I'm fighting and not collaborating right now.
No, actually, Scott, if you actually want to
East Coast Canada.
No. Corey is BC. Alex is Maui, or Alex is Hawaii.
I'm in Hawaii right now.
Are you really in Maui? Is that?
I'm on Oahu.
Oahu. Okay.
But
you're really far away.
But like Maui Snake, Oahu Snake doesn't.
Oahu Snake.
Yeah.
So Corey will be live in the studio because he's just north of us in BC. So
I mean, I can fly from Detroit to Arizona real cheap.
I'm pretty sure it's pretty cheap from Hawaii to Arizona also.
This started as a meme and now we're all considering it. But
I am considering it. Like maybe you guys could do an end of year wap up show.
I'd be down.
Like awesome. In January, and like you could do a recap year.
Sounds
show.
Good to me.
Just give me a damn job.
Just hire me. Just
give me a job.
I bet you didn't ask.
Dota has all these billionaires sponsoring teams. You need to get this dude to start sponsoring teams. Like, I've been saying this. We need more billionaires in Counter-Strike. Like we're lacking them.
The Phoenix Fibers. We're gonna get big into Overwatch and Call of Duty franchises, man. The Phoenix Fibers.
Yeah, good return on investment over there.
But when you're a billionaire, you don't need a return in investment.
Exactly. It's a write-off.
Yeah, that's how people get rich. They just have a bunch of money and then spend all of it.
Give it all away.
Right,
hey, man,
right.
What the Dota guys are doing, I mean, I don't know if they're coming back.
I've been doing this wrong. No, that also, side point, this is hilarious how all these people saying Counter-Strike's non-profit. Scott, I think I saw you do a tweet about this. So many people saying Counter-Strike's non-profitable, it's not worth it, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, every single top org wants to have a Counter-Strike team.
Yeah,
and I feel like you'll be able to give a little bit more input on this, but I know from working with orgs previously and having it explained to me from the top down, is that even though Counter-Strike salaries, and this is 2016, 2017, keep in mind, this isn't super recently, but 2016, 2017 specifically, even though Counter-Strike salaries were more than the team was necessarily making, the sponsorships that those teams got, peripheral sponsors mainly, and also other sponsors, it's more valuable for them to have a Counter-Strike team on the books because Counter-Strike players will spend money to upgrade their shit. So, like for example,
a good mouse to play League of Legends.
If you're a League of Legends player, you don't need to have the newest sensor technology.
You don't even need 144 hertz to play.
Right, you don't even need 144 hertz. You don't need any of that shit. Whereas people in FPS games will spend money to upgrade their shit because they need to for the competitive advantage. So from a sponsor point of view, it's actually incredibly valuable to have a Counter-Strike team on the books, even if they're not necessarily.
I never really understood because I'm sure some teams have lost money, and I'm sure that's true, but like. For a lot of the teams I've been on, like, for example, Logitech will pay all the teams' salaries, or like just an example. Like, I'm not sure if that's entirely true, but so Logitech's paying all the salaries. All the events pay for flights, hotels, and travel now. So it's like, what exactly is the org losing money on if the sponsors are paying for almost everything?
Yeah, I think I don't think all arrangements are the same where the sponsors.
Right. I mean, I'm sure. Like.
Yeah, because generally the sponsor pays the team then distributes, right? But some of the deals are like, we'll get a Counter-Strike team if you help us get it, so therefore your part of the is pay the salaries, right? Like at EG, we did that with a couple of our sponsors. Like we couldn't take on a new division if Monster didn't agree to give us more money to help take on the new division, right? You went to them and said, hey, this is what the deal was, but we want to get this team, or we want to get this StarCraft player. Can you help us? Because it's different. It's new. Mm-hmm. So what I would say about like the Counter-Strike ecosystem is our salaries are high, right? Not saying too high, but, a tier 1 player gets paid well to play the game. He also travels 240, 250 days out of the year, so he really has no other life either. So it's a good compromise probably for life versus money for this short window of time the kid has. I think part of the problem with teams saying that they don't make money on Counter-Strike is they don't have the metrics to track every division uniquely, in the sense of SteelSeries. This is to your point, Davey, about how it is advantageous to have an FPS team like a Counter-Strike team. Is SteelSeries gives you, I'm going to throw numbers out there because $500,000 a year, right, to your brand, and all 40 of your players are going to use our shit across 5 different games, right? Well, that's one big spend by SteelSeries. Then, I take it. I pay Counter-Strike. I pay Rainbow Six. I pay Rocket League. I activate Rainbow Six a certain way. I activate Counter-Strike a certain way. I do different videos. I do different things. But there's no perfectly cut and dry accounting way to go. Counter-Strike cost this much, but Counter-Strike made this much. You can get the cost because my salary. If you are paying for my travel or anything like that, boot camp staff, coaches. You can get the costs of a team, but since you're often paid lump sums for all your divisions, it's hard to say that Rocket League made money and Counter-Strike didn't when they all kind of pull from the same overarching pool, right? and a lot of deals are done that way. I'm going to give you a bunch of money. I want you to blanket all your divisions with my shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I can tell you for a fact
80% of your merch sales or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that when we were on Splice and we qualified for that major, the almost within the week of us qualifying for that major, I think there was, and I might get the number wrong here. So Marty, if you happen to be watching this, I apologize for getting the number wrong. But it was, I think, 8 sponsorship deals for the remainder of that year got locked down within that week. Where it was like, okay, here you go, boom, because you had a Counter-Strike team that you can guarantee was going to be at a major, and having a Counter-Strike team that you can guarantee was going to be at a major automatically skyrocketed the potential investment and sponsorship money you can get.
Look at this guy is just like a sponsor. You're hired. You are a sponsor. You're just doing unboxings during the show. Live unboxings.
Yeah, this is like
what
a
is going on here?
He's like, first I have a Logitech mouse. Now,
nice color too.
DHL comes out, and here's the ZyWoo mouse.
Of course.
DHL. Wow.
With a ZyWoo mouse and
Sell out. Hashtag sell out. Hashtag sell out.
No, look.
So I think the
metrics, think to Bahrain.
The metrics of the team ownership business are hard in that sense, right?
No,
tracking it.
That's why, and I think when owners come out and say, "Oh, we don't make money on our Counter-Strike team," like you're a fucking pussy, dude. Like, fuck you with that. We don't make money on our Counter-Strike team shit. If you're not making money, that it's like you were talking about, Scott. Like you get a lump sum and you choose how to allocate it. If you're now negative, you've done something wrong.
And it's also a little disingenuous because literally, if you extend the conversation with most owners, they'll tell you they're not making money. Mm-hmm. Period. Right? They're in a VC economy. They're spending. They're building. They're spending. They're building. So they're not making money on Rocket League. They're not making money on Rainbow Six. They're not making money on Counter-Strike. They're not making money on Overwatch League yet. So, but they leave all that out and they say, I'm not making money in Counter-Strike. It's not brand safe. Well, Marty just proved to Davey that it's really brand safe, actually. You need particular brands, maybe. Not every sport is brand safe for every advertiser on the planet either. Not every TV show is brand safe for every advertiser on the planet either. We don't need to be a cartoon. We don't need to be on Disney. So, like, all those things I laugh and go, shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah,
we don't need to call it, like, counter-terrorist is not the problem. It's an R-rated game. It's blood. It's first person. It's very violent. Those are all the problem. So, to fix Counter-Strike to be a PC-friendly game, you have to change the game. No bomb planting. Get maybe less first person. Turn that fucking blood off. And certainly, we're not calling him terrorists and counter-terrorists. But
go play Overwatch.
But you can't just change those two things, the name, and magically like fucking money flies in. It doesn't work that way. Like
no, it doesn't.
It just doesn't. Right? It's such low-hanging bullshit fruit, as I say. Right?
Paintball strike.
Yeah, and it's kind of TO is the same thing. Is like they say they don't make money, but they also spend money in weird ways and waste money, and maybe they don't entertain properly in the venue. Maybe they could do more. It's like there's something wrong with, like, there's not making money, and there's like maybe not being a great business person, right? And
I agree,
think
100%.
we have that all over the place too. Team owners, TOs, there's no shortage of that too. So, like, just because you can't make money doesn't mean that you can't make money owning a team or as a TO, etc. Right? Maybe you don't need $100,000 worth of pyrotechnics. Maybe you don't need that. Maybe you should get rid of that bullshit. Maybe you don't need DJ Khalid to fucking be on your show. There's lots of ways you could probably save a little money on some of your events to maybe lose less money. So yeah. Now what I do know though, and what I do hear a lot is obviously that Counter-Strike players are paid a lot. It's expensive. It is expensive, right? If you add up 5-6 guys' salaries times 10 to 20 grand a month, some more, some less, that's a heavy labor nut for any team. And as esports go, it's near the top of it, right? In the sense of salaries for a division. But to my tweet that you brought up, a team owner can't get mad that salaries are too high because generally that team owner was part of the inflation of said salaries in the first place, right? No player is boycotting and will not play for under $20,000 a year. But they're going to try to get as much goddamn money as possible out of you, just like you would if you went to get a job somewhere, right? Well, how much will you play for? $1 million?
Yeah.
Okay, right? I mean, so they all started this bidding war. You can blame Virtus Pro. You can blame all those fuckers years ago for multi-year contracts.
Groups, you can do.
Yeah, but you can't blame a player because he's in a bidding war between $20,000 a month and $30,000 a month. Hey, you know what, guys? That is just stupid. Tell you what. You say you don't make any money. Just pay me 10 grand a month. We'll just fuck it. Forget the 30 grand that you were maybe going to pay me yesterday. I realize your dilemma. 5 grand a month. That's enough. 5 times 12. That's enough to live on.
My mortgage is $2,200.
No player is going to negotiate backwards, right?
My car payments are an extra $600. So yeah, I can.
Yeah.
$3 grand a month pretty much pays my bills. So $4 grand a month is fine.
Yeah. So for me, this whole bullshit of Counter-Strike's really expensive, labor costs are really expensive, salaries are really expensive. Yeah. And you all can blame yourselves. Players didn't do this. You all did this, right? Now, we have to, as adults, figure out if it is not economically feasible and how you maybe lower it. And again, one of the things that we're fighting for is collective bargaining agreements with all the tournament organizers and more standardized contracts with team owners. So you start getting back some of your image and naming rights. You start doing direct rev shares with TOs, etc. And so players have these other revenue streams. And then the labor rev stream, team to player, gets lessened, right? Which helps a team owner, right? My labor cost goes down, but if I'm a star player, I make that 5 grand up somewhere else, right? That month or whatever, right? But we have to get there. That's going to take several years of all this shit. But that's how you stabilize it, right? Is I have one revenue source, or I have two, right? Prize money, stickers, and labor, and a salary. Basically, is what a team, because we don't stream a lot. We're not big streamers as pro players. You don't have a whole sub.
That's one thing I fucked up. That's one thing I fucked up when I was playing. Players should be streaming more. Just saying. Anybody out there listening, you should be streaming more.
But it's too hard.
I don't know if you can be
you can't. You can't. I mean, Team Liquid traveled 240 last year.
Like I said, I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying when you get the opportunities, you should stream as much as you can. That's all I'm saying.
Stewie and Elise still stream.
Yeah, if you
still get a few out there.
Let me rephrase that. I think you can turn your stream on and play FPL, but you can't be a streamer. You know what I mean?
I agree.
That's still good enough.
That's good enough.
I think some sort of presence is better than nothing, to Davy's point. But if you have a couple hours here and there, you're home from a tournament.
I'm just saying you're not going to have Shroud's consistent schedule.
No.
Yeah, you're not going to build a sub base.
That's all I meant.
It's unfortunate.
It's more about, and I think it's more about getting your personality out there a little bit more. I think that's actually really important. A lot of the times you'll see people commenting on HLTV or on Reddit or just talking about it, and they'll say something like, "Oh yeah, this guy is like this. This guy has this attitude. This guy's this," and you know them behind the scenes, and that's just wrong. They just don't. But it's not their fault. They just don't know what the players like. Right?
Oh yeah, we all love.
There's such a small amount of content that actually goes on that's real content. Not like a scripted sit down and you can only interview players so much, and they're just going to give the same generic answers over and over and over again because they're trying to be safe. They're not trying to say anything that's out there, right? So players don't get the opportunity to show their personalities very much, which I think is something we're seriously lacking in the CS scene specifically. And there's some players who, but now the thing is, I'm showing personality by being out there, and look, I'm talking shit and I'm being out there and I'm doing this. No, this is just you're just going the far other end with it instead of being generic, doing this and this. Now you're just being the guy that talks shit all the time, and it's still not what you're like, which is fine. You can have whatever persona you want publicly.
You're playing the heel at this point or whatever.
Right, and that's fine. You can totally do that. But a player's actual personality, a lot of the time, doesn't get shown at all.
You know who does that really well is Brazilians. I follow a lot of the pros on Instagram and stuff, and the Brazilians have Instagram stories that are dash hash marks. They're it's such a long story, and it's dude, I know what FNX is doing at every part of his day. I feel that dude is nonstop posting all the time, and Americans do not get close to that, or even the CIS players that I follow too.
I feel like a lot of those guys do a lot of other things during the day, though. If you wake up and eat breakfast and play Counter-Strike, there's not much to story,
but
they're more active.
Even some pros will just show some pros will show their screen or whatever. I noticed some of the guys
Nico does that. So.
They'll just show that they're doing that, or just show that they're with their teammates or something like that. Any of that I think is
any behind the scenes stuff, as we call it, it's always good for we love it about athletes, we love it about entertainers.
I feel we're really missing, and this is gonna seem a little duh, but I feel we're really missing that Howard Stern level of interviewer. You know what I mean? In the scene where you have a guy who can actually just pull people's personalities out of them, like where you can just disarm people and like and pull their personalities out and make them like, you know, be themselves and show who they are, make people comfortable and like do that whole thing that like Stern was so good at doing when he's interviewing people. I feel like that's something like we don't have that person in the scene. Like when you think of the people who do match content for the CS scene, it's like what, like you got like Paula, you got who else even does it? This is what I mean. Like I mean I'm an idiot.
Guys think you're gonna do at the tournament?
Yeah, you know what I mean. That's what I mean. It's just,
we're gonna lose.
Yeah,
it's just
with Fnatic, Nip, and Navi. How you feeling about your chances?
Yeah, it's just kind
pretty
of
bad.
bland.
Pretty bad. We suck.
We fucking lost, boys.
I will say face
Adderall. I remember that one interview. That one guy said that they practiced. They're all on Adderall. You remember that one? That was a cool one.
That was kind of an obscure one.
Yeah. Your face lit up when I said that.
Literally.
Interesting.
Lit up. There's again.
Yeah.
He's pulling it up right now.
Got to keep it real, you know, but people don't respect that. You know, every day that I DM, I still get Adderall.
That's perfect.
Just every day of my life. And the funny part is, I said that it made us worse, and we didn't like doing it. Like, that's the ironic.
It wasn't
part.
like a helpful thing, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have been going for almost 2 hours now, so it's about time we let you get out of here, Scoots.
All right.
But
wait. I got one more question for Scoots.
Oh, go for it.
So you got all this huge studio, right? With all this
brother.
equipment. Have you thought about filming any porn?
I knew when you said studio.
I know, as soon as
had that look in his face. That look in his face.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, no other studio's got this kind of equipment. Like,
I mean, we could
new to the game.
Geared for esports professionals.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true. We got all these. I don't know. Maybe some of these Twitch streamers could get some contract. I don't know.
Like deep inside mid or something. Like we could do some really shit, man.
Oh my God.
They all
coming in for a plan.
Rushing B tunnels. Going through tunnels.
It's a girl's name, BEA, right? B. They all
Lord.
rushed B. I mean, the green screen shit we could do would be definitely might have to call Pornhub for some biz dev on this though. In retrospect,
A good A split.
All five and underpass.
Oh,
you said you have a big studio
good story
too.
like. I can't afford a gun this round. Can I get a drop?
Can I get a drop? Oh, God.
Yeah, exactly. I need a weapon.
What are you willing to do for it?
Yeah.
What's its worth to you?
All right, we need to stop. Yeah, we need to
Scope
stop
up on this.
Yeah.
Also, we talked about this last show too, Scott. I think that we need, like, you know how there's YouTube boxing? We need Counter-Strike.
Oh no.
MMA is what we need.
Oh,
you got something lower impact, dude. These guys are gonna break.
No, fuck that. I want it to be legit. I want it to be a fight, not this fucking boxing head.
You will never use a mouse again.
Shit. No, it's like, no, look. This is what we need, because we've talked about this historically, Scott, but I'm going to just rehash some of them for you. So think about the top rivalries between players in the scene, especially recently. MSL, Glaive. Put them in an octagon. See what fucking happens.
Freakazoid
You
is simple.
have this. You could build the octagon in your studio, Scott. You could get this done. All you need is judges. I volunteer. You need judges.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. I'll also be on the card. You can put me up against anyone you want. Yeah, okay. Freakazoid's simple. That's a good one. You know what I mean? Going back.
Wow.
Going back. No, I'm not as convinced as Alex in that one. I think
Simple's got range.
I was about to say he's got range. He's
he has no power.
Simple could just stand on him.
He's also from the Ukraine. He's tougher than you
think.
Got
some moves. He might have some moves.
Yeah.
No, you know who low-key beats everyone? Bialy.
Oh, shit,
like, really?
What?
Yeah, like...
Why Bialy?
There's some anger there, dude. I'm telling you.
Do you throw all the French in there, and then who they decide they're friends with this week, they just start beating on each other?
No, but Shocks
like,
MBK would be fucking great, wouldn't it?
Right?
Oh my...
Yeah.
See, Scott, I'm like...
Existence.
I'm joking. Now, you might think I'm joking, but I'm not.
Well, I mean, the problem is half of them want to keep playing Counter-Strike. Damage, and they couldn't.
You need retired guys.
What you need to find is an animator, and you could do Celebrity Deathmatch Counter-Strike Edition. And you animate them beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, and Thorin can do the voiceover.
To do that.
They don't. I wonder if we do know anybody who has a studio that could do something.
I don't know, man. That's not as fun.
No, I mean, there's not much blood. You want the blood to be real.
Yeah,
I get
it. I want it to be a real fight. Like, I want after the fight's over, like they had a fight. You know what I mean?
Like, does simple bleed?
Can you make the god bleed?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
But anyway, so now that
the player association would probably take a hard stance on no on that, just for player safety.
So they'll go to Bahrain.
So, they'll go to Bahrain, but they won't let the guys push each other around a little bit.
All right,
damn pussies.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
They're gonna go Bahrain. They're not gonna agree to do it, but they're gonna do it.
Oh,
All right.
God.
Anyway, so Scott, sort of end the show. We ask, or this is like a thing I've been asking every week, so I'm just going to continue doing it until somebody tells me they hate it. And by somebody, I mean majority of the people.
One comment.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of comments
says
now.
something
Yeah,
bad.
there's going to be a whole bunch now saying that it's bad. So I'm taking everything I just said back. So Scott, what was your worst travel day going to or from an event that you can remember? Where like you remember the specific, like, man, fuck this day, like this was the worst. Whether it's the morning after an after party, early flight, or just going to an event, all your flights got canceled. What is it? What's your worst scenario?
Does it have to be a gaming event? Because I did event logistics for a job, so I did a lot of traveling.
Yeah, could just be traveling.
Worst would be
for Coca-Cola.
Yeah, this would have been not for Coke, but a trip to Rio that I was doing for an event logistics company years and years ago, and we got stuck on a runway in. I want to say we were at a European airport. Like we flew like from the States to Europe and then Europe to South America. And
that seems inefficient.
Yeah, it was fucked up. Because again, when you're not booking your tickets, sometimes they fuck you.
Yeah.
And we got fucked, and then we got delayed in, I want to say Frankfurt, but we weren't allowed. Yeah, we weren't allowed off the plane, and so we sat on this air. It's already a long day, right? So to Frankfurt, then to South America, and if I recall, it was me and a buddy, and we sat on the plane on the runway in Frankfurt for 7.5 hours.
Oh, that's
worst,
like two meals. Like we had meals, we watched movies. It was like
they fed you, dude. I was on one for 6 and they gave me nothing.
Yeah, it was fucked up. It was hot and sweaty. Like it was not a good time. And we weren't even at a gate.
Like AC on, right?
Yeah, it was. And so by the time we even got there, we were already over the whole goddamn week of the trip. We're like, this is gonna be fun. Like we just didn't really recover.
Yeah, it just ruins the whole thing.
Terrible.
For you.
Yeah. So that was probably. I mean, I've had plenty of delays and hungover flights home after parties and all sorts of stuff. So those all blend. But that one especially because we couldn't get off the plane, no other option, stuck in this tube. I don't think we had middle seats, but I think I had the aisle and he had the one next to me, so he had a fucked up seat, and it was not a fun experience at all. That's when you're like, God, I wish I was in first class at least.
Yeah, because the worst part about those things is that you're like, man, if there wasn't delays, I'd be there right now, but I haven't even fucking taken off. Like, that's what I always think. I'm just like,
I think that too.
Fucking be there.
Yeah, and then by the time we did get to Rio, it was like 2 a.m. So then by the time we got to the hotel, like we were supposed to get there like that day, right? It was just it was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, when we had Thorin on, he told a story where he got stranded in Guam.
Oh Jesus!
It's just like
I don't see the problem.
Yeah. Was he allowed to cruise around Guam, or was he at the airport? Did he say?
I think
he said they let him off the plane. He made less money, so he just stayed like where they put him.
They let him off the plane, but he got stuck there, maybe overnight. I don't remember.
You know, when you have more money, you leave and you go to like a nicer hotel.
Yeah.
When it's like the rough.
Yeah, because this was a few years ago for him.
Yeah,
but yeah. Anyways, so
answer, but
no. That's what we're looking for. It's shit like that. I like to hear about that because then it makes. Because I've never been stuck on a plane for 7 hours, so now I feel better about myself knowing that you had a bad thing.
Your next flight, dude, you're fucked.
It's fucked now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just gonna stay right here. But yeah, so Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. SirScoots, everybody, make sure you follow him on Twitter. Go follow all the Do Not Peek stuff. I know for a fact you and Jason working on it. You guys are gonna make some fucking sweet content. I'll guarantee it. There's gonna be some sweet content.
I'll guarantee it. Yeah,
exactly. So make sure you go check them out. Everybody, make sure if you made it this far in the video and you want to like it, subscribe it, all of that fun stuff. Also, if you like all the content we make here and you want to support the channel, besides the free subscribe and the like, which is good enough, but if you want to do something extra, patreon.com/peekersadvantage. Every dollar helps. Every little bit you can do. We have tiers going all the way up to $5,000. And if you do the $5,000, you can get all of our bathwater. So, nice. Scott, I don't know if that's something you're interested in. It is a great deal. If you want, I can work something out.
Get your billionaire.
With you
let him know.
Yeah,
get the guy that's like the billionaire.
It's actually 20 grand for him, though.
Yeah.
I feel like he might actually do something with it. So.
Can we just trade bathwater? I mean, I have some vintage.
Yikes.
No, I don't know, man. Because like mine is worth like. I don't know if
it's been
yours
fermenting.
is worth 5,000 like mine is.
Man,
you know
it might
what
be
I mean?
worth more. I don't know. I
It might be,
it's
depending on the person, it might be worth more. That's
true.
what I'm saying. For me personally, I'm into people with hair.
Young bathwater, young follicle-filled bathwater.
Yeah, I need a little hair falling out into the bathwater.
Is your bathwater barrel aged? Like
exactly right.
Is it single malt?
It's barrel aged single malt and what's the free range? It's free range.
Oh.
Yeah. Vegan.
How does that work? Just let it roam free.
Yeah,
just roam. No cages. No cages for your water.
In his studio, he's actually built an elevated field, and he can run the bathwater through it, and it drains out into a drainage system around the bottom, and then it collects, and then
it's irrigating barring.
It's like you have a webcam system.
That would explain why they're so fucked up.
Yeah. All right. So, So anybody who's made it this far,
love it.
You got a great
Cut
ending.
all this from the VOD, please.
No. We're keeping all of it. So thank you everybody for watching. Appreciate it. Peekers Advantage episode 17. See you guys for Return Fire live on Wednesdays. And the next episode of Peekers Advantage will of course be next Saturday, unless you are a $10 patron, in which you get it on Friday. So fun fact. See you guys then. Thanks for watching.